Everybody, we're back with Papa Sammy, and we're going to talk about the Roseland Smitty's explosion. All right, Dad, a little bit of back history. You worked in chemical plants 50 plus years.
Yeah. Plus, I have a certified in hazardous waste and hazardous waste supervision over the years.
Okay, so what did you do in chemical plants?
We actually had a maintenance contract, but if anything went wrong, we would go in there and pick up the chemicals that spill, clean it up, get them contained, ship them out, and you know, just take care of the hazardous waste.
Okay, so how old are you now, Papa Sammy?
84 in December.
Wow, you guys, 84 in December. So you know what they say, like honor your mother and father and wisdom of your elders. All right, Dad, so you and I started doing some digging out of concern for people in Tangipahoa, St. Helena, you know, with this Smitty's explosion. Tell me what you found out about how to start remediating pond and ditch water.
Well, on your ponds, it's actually easier than doing your land because it's more or less contained in an area. So your duckweed and water hydrogens, I can't even say it.
Hydrangeas, is that it? Okay.
The lily pads.
Yes.
They'll filter the water itself. Your cattails, the roots get down into the ground and they'll absorb it out of the ground. As you harvest this roots, all of it, and contain it, you'll start filtering your pond and cleaning it. Now on land, well, you know, first you do your test.
That's right.
What chemicals am I trying to catch? Sunflowers, arsenic, and heavy metal and lead. Now, on your overall ground, Indian grass, and I do not know that, I have it written down, but I'm not even going to try to.
I'm like that too when I see them, but you are correct. I have heard quite a bit about Indian grass. What is it called? Zoroastrium? I can see it, something.
Yeah.
I'll put a picture in the video for people, and I see you've got hemp.
Yeah. It's legal in Louisiana, hemp is. And it is really good about pulling heavy metals and stuff out of the soil.
Yeah, it is. And several people on some shorts I did were like, sunflowers are great, but hemp, Samantha, hemp is really, it really will detoxify at a great rate. I would suggest if you are in these areas and you know that you've got, say, 70 acres or 100 acres of contaminated grass and you want to attempt to plant hemp to bioremediate your soil, why don't y'all reach out to Southern or LSU Ag and ask them if they've got, you know, seeds or plants that you can use and what would be legal so you don't get in trouble.
Also contact the EPA. Where do I dispose of this stuff? Where do I bring it? How do I dispose of it? And they work with them. They're not going. They can't test hundreds of thousands of acres. They're trying to get where it's concentrated. Mm-hmm. And every little bit you can do around the perimeters helps. Now, mechanical is the best way to clean your soil. But that takes equipment.
Oh, so you're talking about like what they did in Maui, where they go in, they've got these huge machines and they're ripping 2 foot down.
That's right.
And wow, you're right though. I mean, you know, hold this up for me, Dad. Growing under a poison sky, folks, we actually talk about the different ways that you can remediate your soil. And I did mention the mechanical remediation, but I said the same thing you did. First off, the expense of that.
Right.
1 acre can run you upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 with the machinery.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
It depends on what you're taking out.
That's exactly right. And then you've got things like this big, beautiful oak tree. I don't want my mother oak ripped out by the roots because Smitty's decided to blow up, you know. Now, you can set that down, Dad. You're so sweet. So quick question. Sammy, a lot of people are showing me pictures of their fruiting trees. We're moving into fall. Their peaches, their pears, their lemons, their apples, everything's coming to fruitation. These apples and peaches, they're already formed, but they're covered in this black soot. They should not eat that, correct?
No, The people will tell you you can clean it with this and that, and possibly you can, but especially if you're elderly, have any kind of immunity problems, don't eat it.
Yeah, I would think so too,
It's
Dad.
not worth it.
It isn't. It isn't. So, say you've got a piece of property you inherited from your grandmother out here, and a lot of people do. They've got all these figs and everything. They go out there, they pick it because they don't want their animals or the wildlife to eat it because it's toxic. It's getting time to prune your trees for fall.
That's right.
So you take all that. What do? I know we say, you can call the EPA, where do I dispose of this? But what if they don't respond to you? How do you dispose of all that?
Well, you can biochar, which some people are set up for, and most people are not.
I am, but most people are not.
You can actually, it's not a good idea, and I'm not recommending this, but do what you got to do. You can actually burn it in one area and try to, take the coals and just, I don't know what you do with them.
I know, and that I think is what is blowing all of our minds. Like, the daughter of the owner of Smitty's put a letter out on Facebook that literally told all of us, grow up, explosions happen, accidents happen, clean it up. Well, our question is, how do we clean this up? You're talking thousands of acres of land.
Right.
And 100 miles of river and tributaries. And you're telling us it is our responsibility when the plant made 70 plus million every single year for 60 years.
Well, here's the trick. Grow up. They do have explosions, but one right after the other. What happened to the maintenance? Why did they have the second explosion?
I agree.
Somebody's IQ should have went up on the first explosion.
I love that. And now we find that there is a steady leak of thousands of gallons of chemicals coming out of that plant every single day.
They can be pumped. Why don't they pump those underground tanks out if
I
they
don't
have
know.
not already?
We don't know. Nobody knows. They're not letting us on. They're not telling us what caused it.
Well, let me take you through a scenario. If the people don't have the safety every day, once you're regular. In other words, we got an explosion. Here's what we do. When they do have an explosion, nobody knows what to do. Everybody's sitting there looking at each other. What's next? And the world's going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not pointing fingers. I'm telling you, somebody's not on top of the game. And a 60-year-old plant, they got 90-year-old plants going in Baton Rouge right now. Just never had an explosion. 60 years old, bang. 2 days later, bang. Come on,
A day
people.
later, another mini bang.
That's right.
And a steady leak that we can't seem to get any answers on. I will say this, they have found extremely high levels of nickel. So that seems to be the biggest concern. And the secondary concern is this misconception that if it rains, it's going to dilute the pollution.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a joke.
It is a joke.
And people, I've said it before, the wind, the rain, the water is going to mix these chemicals like no chemist could even dream of. They don't know what they got. Here again, witch's brew. I've had chemists look me straight in the face and say, we got a witch's brew. I have no conception what it is. It takes days and weeks to analyze it. And they can't analyze each and every spot. They just,
Oh my gosh, I just realized what you meant. So it might be mainly lead to the left of you, mainly nickel to the right of you, and where I'm sitting could be a more of a witch's brew of arsenic, and you might be antifreeze witch's brew.
That's right.
So everything could be a little different depending on what puddle, what pond, and what
Exactly
tributary.
Right. How much heat did he get? Was it
Fully combusted or partially.
That's right.
I've just learned that.
And look, and I've had, like I said, I'm not joking. I've had a chemist look me in the face and say, I have no conception of what this is. And that's after they tried to analyze it.
Wow.
I mean, come on. It's
I remember being young, and you had come home from a chemical plant that you were working in, and they were having you guys smell the jars, and they said, if you ever smell this, you're dead.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about that. It was like the almond. They said if you smelt that smell, it was something. If you smell that, you've got 30 seconds and you're dead.
Yeah. And actually, it was cyanide.
That's what it was, cyanide.
We was working in a cyanide plant. And I mean, you talk about safety. Now, that plant's been there for years. Never had an accident. You know why? Somebody's on top of it. Somebody's paying attention. It's so easy to get into a routine. I went in plants where they just, the only time they'd fix it is when it totally broke. They didn't preventive maintenance.
Preventative.
Yeah.
There it is, like preventative health.
That's right.
Goes a long way.
That's right.
An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure.
And people laugh about these safety meetings every morning. There's no joke, people. If you don't run the little games like, okay, we got an explosion this side, what do you do? We got a spill over here, what do you do? And the crew, the men, they all kind of got an idea. Instead of sitting there thinking, oh, Lord, what do I do? They're out there doing something.
That's right.
Now, it might not be completely correct at first, but they're getting it done.
Yeah.
As they go along, they can improvise and get it right. In other words, do something even if it's wrong.
Amen. And I think this is what upset a lot of us. We found out that after this explosion, I think it was last year, it was somewhere between 2021 and 2024, Smitty's had been fined because they had pallets and containers blocking the fire extinguishers. Yeah. So the workers, even if they had wanted to, couldn't have gotten to the fire extinguishers. Then there was a death on that plant sometime between 2020 and 2025. And then there was a woman that was run over by an 18-wheeler that was backing up to deliver chemicals, and it broke her collarbone. Then they were fined, upwards of $100,000 just last year for illegal dumping into the ditches. So this is not a plant that was going without issues.
I know.
But they let them keep going, Dad.
Well, the thing is, in other words, the $70 million they were making a year, plus or minus, was it because they wasn't maintaining the plant? They was keeping the money that should have went into maintenance? Or is it just a really efficient plant making a good profit?
That was the minimum I found. Some years they made $700 million from that plant.
Well, what can I say? You know,
Right.
When you shoot the golden goose, I mean.
Right. Right. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you for sharing this. If it was your land, what fall crops would you be getting into the soil right now, like cover crops to start? You had some written down. I saw a few of them.
You can't plant your yard and everything in the whole surrounding area in sunflower seeds. You can in your garden area.
Right.
I would take the Indian grass. I would get out there and cut my grass as low as possible and spread that Indian grass.
Okay.
All right, that'll start pulling. Now, here's the part I'm not really sure of. Takes more research. As that grass, Indian grass grows, let it get up, then cut it and contain it.
Yeah.
But your roots are still in the ground.
Right.
Now, as this grass regrows, is it still pushing up into the...
I see what you're saying. Are
Yeah,
the toxins still going up?
That.
Okay. I do see what you're saying, because when I showed people what happens with sunflower seeds when you it's called phytoremediation with sunflowers, and they are amazing. They can pull radioactive materials out of the ground. They did
material, the whole works.
They did this in Russia after the big explosion out there. So it does work. But people's first question was, oh my gosh, if that sunflower, so the seeds would be basically glowing in the dark. And I said, yes. Right. So they said, what do we do with those? Well, you have to get rid of the entire plant and the seeds. You have to either biochar it. And like we said, now the biochar converts the heavy metals into a contained.
Condenses it.
Yes, yeah. Condenses it. It's like this little piece of it's like carbon. The problem is you then have to test the biochar to see if it's reduced it enough that then you could use it, or do you still have to then convert that into something else? People, once these chemicals are in the atmosphere, it's just containing them into another form that is of a lesser...
You can condense them and possibly get rid of it.
Yes, to take them from being so toxic. I think the greatest thing people can do is don't till this. Do not till your land if you've had this crap fall on it, because then you're just mixing it in deeper. And stop tilling and start growing cover crops, cutting them and letting it lay there. Or like my dad said, remove it if you've got high levels of toxins. But let the earthworms come back. Because I did do some research, believe it or not. The earthworms will absorb the heavy metals and they don't poop it back out. They hold it inside of them.
Until they die.
Until they die. And then they biodegrade. Oh my gosh. It's a never-ending life cycle of toxic chemicals.
Once you get heavy metal in the ground, it's going to stay there forever.
Forever. And hence forever dissolve. Chemicals.
It don't dissolve.
Oh my God, Daddy. My mind's just blown until the little earthworm dies. Okay, like, comment, subscribe.